Welcome to episode 88 of the Everything Business Consulting podcast. We're joined today by Jason, our National Manager of ConsultX in the US of A. How are you going, Jason?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Now, today I want to talk about something that is perhaps a pet peeve of yours, and it's something you're also very passionate about, and that is business consultants that struggle to get clients because they can't prove their return on investment when they're putting forward a proposal or talking to any potential leads. Can you tell me what the big problem is here?
I just think I just believe the consulting, advisory, coaching model is broken. I truly believe that, people are they're spinning their wheels and they're wasting valuable time. The latest report that just came out, consultants on average spend 80% of their time trying to win new business. And for us,
80%.
80%. So for us, like in the ConsultX network, personally, if I'm trying to get 9 or 10 businesses to have a nice lifestyle, nice income, so on and so forth, yet I'm spending 80% of my waking hours trying to find people to work with, how do you possibly make any money, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. The math does not add up when you're spending that much time prospecting. And I think that kind of ties into what our last podcast was about, pigeon-toeing yourself into just a small niche area of business. And I think a lot of people do that. But the biggest problem and the biggest growth blocker that came out in this report that's put out by the predictive index is that the largest growth blocker for advisory firms across the country, across the United States at least, the biggest growth blocker is proving the ROI to those prospects. Now, if you're spending 80% of your time prospecting and you can't prove to them why they should hire you, you literally are on that hamster wheel of death that literally is just, how do you get off that? How do you ever get ahead?
I don't know many consultants, Jason, that love the idea of prospecting 80% of their time or 55% or whatever it is. They're the kinds of people that want to get in there and help businesses and make a difference. So that's what they should be doing.
Well, without that specific problem, you and I would not be sitting here today having this conversation, because that is the driving force of how I found ConsultX many years ago, right? Because I started consulting, I went out and I got myself 4 clients literally almost immediately. They were warm leads. They were people I knew. They were businesses that I was aware of. But I got those clients very quickly, and I was just sitting there kind of grinning ear to ear going, this is cake. Like, this is easy. I'm just going to go clean up and I'm going to help all these businesses, and I'm just going to walk in there and tell them they need me. And it was just going to go from there. And very quickly, when I started prospecting to cold clients and cold prospects, I very quickly was met with the nightmare that I woke up to every night. And it was that business owner telling me that, hey kid, how do you know you can help me when you don't know anything about my business? And it worked me up for months. I'm telling you, months I spent, and I'll never forget, I finally was driving back from Philadelphia to New York one time and came across this podcast, which is what led me to finally reach out to David. But I was there, and I ran into the apartment and said to my wife, I said, man, I figured it out. I know what's missing and why I'm struggling. And she says, oh, what? And I said, I need a questionnaire that I can ask these people a bunch of questions that can tell me where their inefficiencies are. She goes, yeah, sounds good. How are you going to do that? I said, I have no idea. And I sat there and I thought, and I just worked on this thing for weeks. And finally one night she came home and I'm pacing up and down our hallway, and she's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know what to do. And she goes, I don't understand why you're trying to reinvent this. Like, just call David. He's already has this tool that he's developed and it's in their system. Why are you trying to recreate it? And I said, you know what? You're right. I don't know why. I kind of felt like I should just be able to do it on my own. So that indeed is, I think that's why it's such a pet peeve of mine, is because I was there and I understand how many consultants and advisors in my conversations day in and day out with advisors and coaches out there, how many are in the exact same boat that I was. And there's no need for them to be on that hamster wheel like I was, because there's already a system out there that's been proven over 17 years now. And it's just, once I plugged in, I never looked back. So that proving of ROI was just critical. I couldn't get past that in my initial phase.
And why do you see that proving of an ROI to a potential client? Why do you see that as being so valuable?
Well, I'm going to say most. I don't know the percentage, so I won't throw one out there. Most consultants and advisors are very, very project based, right? They only want to work on a specific task. And what's funny is I talk to many consultants and advisors every day that are potentially a huge prospect for us, right? They really should be utilizing ConsultX, yet they're like, oh my God, Jason, I can't talk right now. I got 2 clients. I'm so busy. Like, I don't know. I don't have time for more. And I'm like, we manage 8 to 10 clients on average, with probably the max being 15 clients. Why are you so overwhelmed and you have 2 clients? And in reality, it's because they get down and feel like they're working on a specific project. They become a slave to that business owner for 6 months. They're working 80 to 100 hours a week just trying to complete this project. And in the end, there they are 6 months later. Yay, hooray, we have a celebration. We completed our project. Guess what? You're now unemployed. Now you got to go back out and find another client. So I just believe that the way that we strategically place it, and that's why I said the model is broken, right? Because 47% of consultants price their bids per project. Well, what does that do? That automatically puts a number, and more than likely it is a large number to that business owner, that they're like, holy hell, you want me to pay you how much? And then on top of that, it's also setting the timeline of how long you're going to be with this business, right? And frankly, that is very, very difficult. If you go in there and you say, I'm going to work with you for 6 months. I'm going to charge you $60,000, $10,000 a month for a consulting fee. And at the end of that, I'm going to build you a brand new website, reinvent your brand, and you're going to be off and running. And the business owner says, cool, so what does my business look like after that? And what do you say? What is the business consultant supposed to say? Oh, you should be killing it. But you have no numbers to back that up. You have no way of telling them really what that new business model and that new brand is going to be worth to them. So it's like, again, you're back on that hamster wheel. It's a lose-lose proposition for you to think that you can go in there. You could be the most gifted business owner. Maybe you've run 5-6 businesses in your life and you've sold them all to huge companies and you're worth $50-75 million. That's all well and good, but that business owner doesn't know anything about that. They don't care anything about that. All they care about is how are you going to fix their problems, right?
You're absolutely right, Jason. And I keep coming back to a famous quote by the management guru Stephen Covey, management and leadership guru Stephen Covey. And he says you should start with the end in mind. And if you're starting any agreement or proposal that there is going to be an end, well, then it's gonna end, and you're not going to get great long-term work out of this. But if you're starting an agreement where we can make this work forever, and we're going to take this business in the direction that you want to take it, so that's both you thinking about your end or not end of this project, but also getting the business owner to think about their future and where they want to end up in the long term. I think you're just really setting the scene for it's going to be a long-term relationship where you are going to not only create a profitable opportunity for yourself, but actually create significant change and positive improvement in your client's business. And I don't know what kind of consultants don't actually want to see positive change. Like you say, I think there's just something very broken about the current state of consulting and advisory, where people are happy to take the money without actually ensuring that their clients are going to get this great result. And it's not something I think anyone wants, but I think it's just become part of consulting that they're giving advice, and maybe it gets partially implemented, or maybe it doesn't get implemented at all, but that's fine because they got their paycheck, if they even were able to get the client,
Right.
which most of the time they're not, and then they walk away.
Yeah. So I just want to touch on, I'm not here to just talk about ConsultX, but I really want to share why, 5 years now down the road from when I first came on board with you guys, is that why it's such a, I get so worked up about it, I guess, is because in the ConsultX method, we literally are going in there, meeting with the business owner. At the end of 2 meetings, we not only are there, this is before you ever ask for $1 from them, you're there and you truly are showing them a black and white figure, right? So let's just say, hypothetically, you go in, you meet with a business owner, you're just sitting there talking to them. Hey man, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. What's, how long you been in business? What are your goals? Yada, yada, down the road. At the end of the second meeting, we literally are showing them, Mr. Business Owner, you're losing $93,500 a year in profit leakage because of inefficiencies in these categories, right? So now you just woken them up. Now they're like, wow, seriously? Like, how do you know that? Well, Mr. Business Owner, you just rated yourself, and our algorithm and our software computes this number on, over 10,000, 15,000 customers around the world in our existence, right? So it's been tweaked. Our algorithm has been tweaked and refined over and over again. So the thing is, we've now shown them what they're losing a year. And again, this is before you ever ask them for $1 out of their pocket. And at the end, you're saying, I'm only going to charge you $3,000 a month. I'm just throwing this out there, so it all is a lot more complicated than that. But let's just say we're talking to like $1 million business. They're losing almost 10% of their total sales in leakage because of inefficiencies. You say to them, I'm going to charge you $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. What's their ROI? If I return $95,000 to your bottom line and I'm only charging you $36,000 a year, it's very easy for them to put that together and be, so you're saying if I spend 36 grand, I can keep 100 grand. Yep. There is...
And something to add to that, Jason, and obviously we're not going to great depth of this process that we go through, but something to add is that profit leakage assessment, that's based on the revenue that they're currently making. So if you're giving them 100 grand and they're spending 36 or whatever the number is,
That's right.
That's before you've actually helped them to grow. So if they've got aspirations both to improve their efficiency of their operation and their profitability and to grow,
Right.
then they just start to multiply what they're going to get out of this relationship.
But what I was saying was a very, very simplistic model of how we approach it here at ConsultX. But what's most important there is that you're telling them numbers that they don't have to beat around the bush and read between the lines to get out of you. You're telling them a number of what you're going to charge them. You're showing them a number about what they're losing already. And it's not a huge leap of faith of how they can or why they should consider bringing you on board, right? And then you take that one step further, is that you're right. We're not only going to make you $1 million business, we're going to fix all these inefficiencies. And let's just say 2 years down the road, you're now a $2 million business or a $1.5 million business. That's just showing that ROI. And I've loved, I worked with Ryan Reese. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think I'm close, but he's the original guru in fractional CMO, right? And he's the one that taught me the phrase. He's like, here's the number you're losing every year. This is my sales pitch. Honestly, this is my sales pitch as a consultant with ConsultX. Here's the number you're losing every year. Mr. Business Owner, you have 3 options. You can do nothing, because that's always an option, doing nothing and just continuing down the road you're going. You can try to fix these inefficiencies on your own, which up till this point, we wouldn't be having this number on paper if you were able to fix them. Or 3, you can bring me on board, use my years of expertise, and we can do it together. Would you like help returning that number to your bottom line? Is my sales pitch. And I just
And if
think
I was a business owner, I'd say, well, yeah, there's good return on investment. What do I have to lose?
right. Well, most of the time, as soon as you show them that they're losing $95,000 and whatever that number may be, here's the number you're losing every year. More times than not, they'll be like, yeah, when can we start? You don't even get anything further out, right? How many times you have to like, slow down. I got to go back to some evaluation. I got to go to our next step. But more than likely, most business owners are that much like, yeah, like, let's do it. And that is turning that broken model, like I was just saying, on its head. Like it literally just flips that upside down because they're now asking you, and before you even are suggesting you work together, they're asking you to do it. So it is just, I know it has changed my consulting career, and I always knew that once I got into that business, I could really find a bunch of inefficiencies and some problems. But, proving that before you've ever, gotten them to, know you and trust you and show them some background and everything else, that's near impossible in one meeting with business owners. And that is what most consultants are doing. That's why they're spending 80% of their awake hours trying to win prospects. So that's
I think that almost ties into our last episode a little bit as well, Jason. It's really hard for a consultant who loves doing the technical consulting work or finding out what the challenges are. It's almost impossible for them, firstly, to find the challenges, but then also to come up with a proposal on how to solve them before they've spent a huge number of hours actually within that business. And I think this tool that we have and that we use bridges the gap so that you don't have to spend 100 hours doing a time and motion study or some in-depth analysis to be able to come up with the proposal starts. Because let's face it, most small, medium-sized businesses aren't going to put in that investment up front. They want to understand what they're going to be getting before they spend a dime.
Yeah. And where this goes back to what we said earlier about being project-based of proposing, right? You're setting that end date where, as you said, when the business owner, when are you satisfied as the business owner, right? So like we get in there, we're losing $95,000 a year. My goal is to help return that to your bottom line. But now we're a year into this and we're working on really improving those bottom line or those that profit leakage, reducing that. But at the same time, we've now moved that bottleneck from your operations to your customer service to your pushing it back on your sales team that you need more and you want to, gear this thing up and scale. That is where in the ConsultX model, we don't have an end date because that business owner's vision and his goals and his dreams just keep moving further down the track. And when it ends because you've done a hell of a job, and now all of a sudden that business owner is far enough along, making good enough income, living a good lifestyle that he's content where he is. He's not worried about taking this company public or whatever it may be, right? He's just worried. He was just very he wanted step 1, 2, 3, and that happens. But I promise you, if you've been with that business owner for 3 years, how many business owners have you been with for 3 years, Julius, and not have gotten at least one referral out of someone else that you can then go work with? It's just hard to do. If
you're there with them for a couple of months, you're getting 1 or 2 referrals a month from them normally. Don't have to wait for 3 years.
Right, for sure. So like it's inevitable. Like they may come to an end, but the amount of people that have been turned your way over that relationship, over the time of that relationship, you're not going to be crying going to bed at night because you just lost one of your great clients. Instead, now maybe you guys are going on vacation together or something, right? Like it's not the end. It's just a pause for now.
Yep, I've absolutely done that. I've been to Germany with one of my clients, of
Did
all
it?
places. He was a German guy, and I met up with him there when we were traveling. And back to your example of referrals, David, he's out doing a bit of consulting at the moment. And something that happened to him recently, which was incredibly powerful, is he ended up consulting to a franchised business. And he was dealing with one of the franchisees. And within probably a month of him dealing with that single operation, he was referred to 4 other franchisees. So he went from having one client of this particular type of business to having 5. And then he did the same thing. He just by chance he started working with another business that was a part of a large buying group, and he had one client in this buying group, and then he got referred to be on the board of directors and to help consult to all 36 other businesses that were operating under this group. So it just shows the power of referrals, and these particular groups were just even more powerful and more leveraged than what they normally are. So that was a real win for him.
Yeah, and that brings up, like, the best point that brings up is that you guys out there that are spending 80% of your time prospecting and trying to win new business, believe me, your prospects see the desperation on your face, hear it in your voice. They know that you need their business. Whereas when you get in with these businesses that we're talking about, and exactly in that example that Julius just shared, is once, David's book is full, right? Now all of a sudden you're like, how do I manage 36 new clients? How do I bring on that many more? And it becomes a question of, as a consultant or an advisor, a firm owner, is do you want to scale to that level? Because frankly, I switched into consulting to get out of working 100 hours a week, right? Like, I got into this because I'm like, I can make an impact, and I can definitely guide some businesses to really increase their revenue and reduce their leakage by just fixing what I know and what I've experienced in my lifetime of business. So it becomes a question of, it switches that, right? We did a complete role reversal where now you have businesses coming to you going, man, I really want you to help me, and you're like, sorry man, I'm full. Maybe if someone drops out or I lose a client here or there, maybe I can work with you. But with the percentages that I just shared, with the number of consultants and advisors that are spending that much time prospecting and that much time proving the ROI, how cool would it be to just flip that on its head and be, now you're in the driver's seat, right? They're coming to you, and you then can cherry pick and take the ones you want and the ones you don't want. And it's just a very enlightening position to be in.
You're saying, Jason, that this 80% people that are out there really hunting for business, they have this persona of desperation, and perhaps they don't have the same confidence that they would have as if they had a more full book of clients.
Right.
But I think also flipping that on its head, if you've got a software and a process that guides you very clearly through that client acquisition process, that gives you a crutch to lean on, so you don't have to be so intimidated, and you don't have to be so desperate for these clients, because it's not you that's just doing the pitching. You've got something else, a tool that's been proven with 15,000 other businesses being run through it,
right,
that is going to demonstrate your return on investment. So I think that's a really valuable tool to help throughout the entire process.
Yep, the system keeps you grounded. The system keeps you from throwing that bid out there for the project in desperation, only to realize that 6 months down the road you worked for less than minimum wage and you were a slave to that business, right? Like, the system keeps you from making those mistakes, and frankly just hating your life, because that's, as you're going through it, you have to uphold your reputation, right? You got to continue because you've made the commitment and you told them you were going to do this. So you're out there, you're like, man, I'm going to suck it up, I'm going to do this, but you are regretting that number you ever threw just because you needed to win a client, and you needed to get some, put some food on the table for your family because you were in that desperation mode.
Absolutely, Jason. So proving return on investment is a key part of being a highly productive consultant, because it allows you to get more clients and really focus on helping them and keeping them for the long term is really just the icing on the cake if you're using a model like that. Do you have any final words for us today, Jace?
Yeah, well, just, along that is your setting by utilizing a proven system with tools, both helping you determine what you're going to charge the client, the structure of the agreement. We didn't even touch on the structure of the agreement, but we help them structure that perfectly, and everybody, both parties, know exactly what is at stake. We know what we're charging. They know what we're supposed to be giving them, and in the end, you don't have that that frustration that comes out from them because they're not seeing that ROI, or not, they don't think they're getting the value out of why they're hiring you. It's very, very clear. So again, I know that ConsultX may not be the only tool out there, and Julius and I have said that, but you definitely need to be successful in what we're doing. You need a proven system. You need the tools in order to make you do a consistent, repeatable process, client in, client out. And at the end of the day, you're going to spend significantly less time prospecting and a lot more time helping businesses. That's why I'm here, right? I've always said it to you. I said, the reason I'm here is I live by that quote. If I help enough people get exactly what they want, I can have everything in life I want. I'm living a lifestyle. I have the freedom. I'm always home for dinner. I'm helping businesses. I'm helping business owners succeed, realize their dreams. And that is why I'm hoping, that is why most of the people that are listening to this podcast are here as well, because they know they have the tools, they know they can help people, and we can do exponentially more as a group than we can individually. And that is why you need a system and a process to just help you, guide you down that path.
If you want to check out more about ConsultX and the software that we're talking about, you can jump over to ConsultX.com and have a look at our demonstration video, or book a time to do a live demo with Jason himself.